makes it really hard to put a leash on these tech companies when it comes to things that they want to do, or expansion, projects in general. Allegedly, this is Flock Safety's little surveillance camera solar power poles that track the movement of your car.
Flock cameras are everywhere and Ring cameras are everywhere. And now they're teaming up to develop a partnership. You talking about surveilling everything and everybody at all times.
So here's the tea. They've always had access to the cameras, but now that they're officially partnering up and telling all of their users that they can use our cameras to surveil us, a little sketchy.
Set these cameras up and then record every license plate that they can capture, and then give that information. They sell that information to private parties.
So I mentioned the Flock camera system yesterday, and to my surprise, a lot of people don't know what these things are or how they work. And that's scary because this has been happening right in front of you and nobody told you a thing.
All right, guys, Flock cameras, we're here to talk about it. We're going to talk about what they are, their partnership with Ring, and where you stand. Are you pro Flock or are you against Flock? Do you feel like we have an expectation of privacy, or we don't have an expectation of privacy because we're in public? And where do those lines blur when we talk about the Ring camera system and neighborhoods and the front of your house, inside of your home?
You guys know the Flock safety cameras, right? There's like 80,000 and counting being set up across the U.S. They take pictures of everyone's license plate, and they just activated the microphones installed on these to report, I don't know, incidents that happen across the nation. Anyways, they have dozens of them on the highways leading to the city I live at, and I'm watching, bro. I drive on this road multiple times a day. I watch them building these little poles in the ground and putting these fucking cameras on top of them. And it's like, yo, the surveillance state is right in front of you guys. If you want to learn if there's Flock safety cameras where you are that are taking pictures of your license plates and reporting them to a master database accessible by law enforcement all across the nation and the higher echelons of our government, then there's a website. You just look up Flock safety camera map, you'll find them, and you'll be surprised how much you're being surveilled on the daily. Anyways, that's all for this video. I just want to talk about that.
At a recent Flagstaff City Council meeting, Flagstaff PD said that Flock cameras actually don't track you. In fact, they only take still images of you in one place at one time. And while that is true, they don't mention that through daisy chaining multiple cameras throughout the city, over 32 of them, that they're able, through a checkpoint system, to determine your daily movements and keep them in a database over a period of 30 days. What they also don't mention is that this next month in October, they're about to push an update that means that the cameras don't only just take images, they now record video.
A lot of people might not want to hear, but you might need to get rid of your Ring camera immediately. Amazon Ring just partnered with a company called Flock Safety. If you don't know who that is, they're a police surveillance company. The same company whose cameras track license plate, follow car movement, and have been used in ICE raids and abortion-related investigations. So imagine this, your Ring footage, your front door, your desk, will soon be connected to a massive law enforcement network. That's not home security anymore. That's surveillance. It gets worse. Starting November, that Flock partnership goes live. In December, Ring is bringing another company called Action, the same police tech company behind tasers and body cams. And they partner with them to roll out facial recognition features on your device. So think about that. Flock, they track license plates. Action scan faces. Both of those companies work together until they suddenly cut ties in July. Now they're working with Ring separately. You see what that look like? That's strategic separation. Different name, same data flow, same profits. Mind you, this ain't a conspiracy. This is right out in the open. This is for entertainment purposes only. But they're building a decentralized surveillance network, and your Ring camera is one of their eyes, which means you didn't just buy a door cam. You put yourself in a big text police feed. You think you're protecting your home, but you're really giving them 24-hour access to your life, your license plate, your kids, your visitors, etc., etc., etc. I think that says it all right there. Pay attention.
Colorado is currently having a surveillance issue. I'm talking mass surveillance everywhere. Even if you don't live in Colorado, I promise you, you need to pay attention because this will scale out to all the other states. So we just renewed our flock contracts. So what that means is there's all these like hidden secret cameras everywhere. This is especially important to us Coloradoans because Palantir's headquarters is in Denver. A lot of people still don't understand that or know that it's on the Tabor Center downtown. There's a lot of investigations right now to understand where this flock camera footage is being sold. Obviously, it's a huge data privacy issue that we never voted for, that we were never told was going to happen. Mike Johnson was recently in an interview and he was trying to justify these flock cameras and why they're here. And so what he said in the interview was, oh, well, it actually helped us solve a missing persons case with a trans person. I get intellectually insulted the second I hear this because I'm like, oh, he thinks he can just say performative, like social justice words like trans person, and then we're all going to go, oh, okay, as long as it's protecting the trans people. After the interview happened and it went live, the mother of this missing person stitches this and goes, hey, I'm their mom. She's not found. So not only did Mike Johnson just performatively use the word trans for no reason, he lied. I post about this issue specifically because it directly relates to Palantir. I'm worried about how much data Palantir has on these flock cameras that are just like chilling everywhere all over the city. I worry about what that means for the greater country. Mike Johnson is the reason that I'm a registered independent. Like Mike Johnson is the reason that I started to understand that there is this like permanent government state that exists on both sides of the aisle, both left and right. And it doesn't matter who you vote for. Big tech and big pharma and like big insert whatever is going to win.
To be able to say, let's move forward without a surveillance system like this in Denver.
If we are delivering historic drops in crime in the city, and that's one part of the puzzle, I wouldn't advocate for us to remove any of the pieces. I wouldn't stop our Hot Streets program. I wouldn't stop our place network investigations. I wouldn't stop adding 3 classes of officers each year to rebuild our officer corps. And I wouldn't turn off common sense technology we can use to track vehicles that are stolen.
So I mentioned the flock camera system yesterday, and to my surprise, a lot of people don't know what these things are or how they work. And that's scary because this has been happening right in front of you and nobody told you a thing. Oh, and by the way, this is what those cameras look like. So now you can keep an eye on them. And once you see one, you'll start noticing all of them. These cameras are almost in every single city now. They didn't ask you, they didn't notify you, they just installed them quietly. And these cameras are not just reading license plates. They're tracking the make, model, year, color, and any unique details of your car. They are logging your routes, your timestamps, your habits, your patterns. They're building a file on your life without your consent. And the people laughing it off with that tired ass line, well, as long as you're not doing anything wrong, then why you gotta worry? Well, that's exactly how free societies get walked into cages. Because right now, your voice is still legal. Your opinion is still legal. You speaking up is still legal. But all it takes is that one new rule, that one new law, that one new safety measure, and something you say today becomes a crime tomorrow. And guess what? They already have every single one of your movement tracked. Every street you drove on, every stop you made, every pattern you never even realized you had. They don't need a warrant to guess where you live, where you work, where you shop, or who you spend time with. And my people, that is the blueprint of a totalitarian system. Slow, quiet rollouts, all wrapped up in a safety measure blanket. And this isn't about being paranoid. This is about paying attention, because we are being monitored without our approval. Our data is being captured, stored, analyzed, and companies are selling the data. That is a fact. So you tell me now who ends up with your information next year or the year after that, or when a new law turns regular people into targets. This is the new danger, my people. When people don't realize what is happening, when they don't know what tools are being built around them, when surveillance becomes normal. Our awareness is going to be the only advantage that we can have. Our awareness is the only form of protection that we can carry. Remember, tribe, the goal is always to leave people better than we found them. And we got to become aware of the things and the laws that are being passed right in front of our eyes, the rules that they're implementing on our lives without our consent. Knowledge is freedom. And I'm just trying to leave us a little bit better by exposing you to the harsh reality that we're currently living in. So keep your eyes open, keep your eyes peeled, and you're going to start noticing these cameras all over the place now.
The other day I talked about flock cameras, which I hadn't heard of, but they're used in the community to surveil license plates and drivers in different areas and public spaces. And from the comments, apparently they've been around for a really long time. But did you know that they just partnered with Ring? So now Ring will have a community request feature, and that will connect with Flock's safety programs. So if there's an active investigation going on, the Flock system will request the Ring neighbors app location, time frame, and access their cameras. And you then would, if it's your Ring camera, you can give it permission or not. So apparently, as of right now, this is completely voluntary. And I couldn't figure out which states it was happening in already or which are going to be the first to launch. I personally don't have Ring cameras. We use something else. So I'd love to hear, if you have a Ring camera, have you gotten notification to volunteer for this program? What do you feel about it? Do you think it's too much surveillance? Do you think it's great to keep your community safe? I'm interested to see how quickly this connects to everything.
Oh, wow. Okay, so flock cameras are everywhere and Ring cameras are everywhere. And now they're teaming up to develop a partnership. You talking about surveilling everything and everybody at all times. Just imagine flock cameras and Ring cameras getting together. Everything that you do is going to be videoed. Technology is taking over. So you want to know what I think about that partnership? I think that partnership is the very beginning of, what's the name of the book? Is it 1984? 1984, where literally every single person on this planet would be surveilled. Well, not everybody, because they got some people that are not, they're way off the grid. Not the people off the grid, but everybody else will be under the watchful eye of somebody.
If you have a Ring doorbell camera, listen up. Today starts the Familiar Faces program. And when this type of biometric data storage is not allowed in states that have strict laws on this type of thing, like Illinois, Texas, and the city of the land of Port, we know that it's bad. Furthermore, the Jungle app says they're only going to retain the data for 6 months, but we know from FTC investigations that's not true. So the best way to opt out of this, from what I understand, is not to tag people in that app. And the reason why we don't want to do this, because remember when the Face Place had you tag people that you knew in your photos? We were training it, right? That's essentially what we did. So the second thing is, today starts the partnership with Flock. This, if you have this doorbell camera, you're going to need to go into the app and opt out of the automatic upload to the neighbor's shared space or whatever. When that first debuted, I went in and did that physically because we don't want them accessing that. And until we are able to utilize a better option, that's what can be done for now. So, all of that being said, these are the two things that you can do to stay safe. Don't tag anybody in the Familiar Faces program, and go in and opt out of your footage being uploaded to the neighbor's shared app thing. All right, stay safe out there.
Cambridge has officially announced that it will be canceling its contract with big tech surveillance company Flock for automatic license plate readers. At a city council meeting today, residents spoke out about their concerns, and the city immediately responded. This is people power in action. Flock and similar companies like Vigilant Solutions sell local police departments cameras that feed nationwide databases tracking the movements of millions of drivers, not just people suspected of criminal activity. They track all of us, including people seeking healthcare, attending religious worship, or going to protests. At minimum, this dragnet surveillance means warrantless tracking of everyone on the road. At worst, It means a digital police state that lets law enforcement officials across the country track people who aren't suspected of any crime, but who might be vulnerable because of their political activism, immigration status, or healthcare needs. The ACLU is fighting to protect residents from invasive surveillance, and it's working. Check out aclum.org for details on Flock and how you can take action.
That Ring camera at your front door, it just became a part of a nationwide police surveillance network, and you probably didn't even know about it. Here's what's going down and why privacy experts are freaking out right now. So Ring and Flock Safety, which are two of the largest camera networks in the United States, have officially partnered. And this isn't just a small feature update, guys. This links millions of home cameras with thousands of law enforcement agencies. Here's how it works. So police departments are using Flock's system, and they can now send direct evidence requests through Ring's Neighbors app. You've probably seen that. They type in the case ID, the exact time window of what happened, and then they drop a map pin on the area that they want footage from, and every Ring user in that zone gets a notification. And with one tap, your doorbell footage can be forwarded straight into Flock OS or Flock Nova, the same investigative platform that cops already use to track cars through license plate readers and automatic license plate reader hits. So this basically turns neighborhoods into on-demand evidence networks, so to speak. So now Ring says it's voluntary. You have to choose whether to share your footage, but privacy groups are saying that this is where things get very messy, because now you've got Flock's road level tracking that tracks you on the road, right? And it's combined with Ring's front door surveillance. And this all feeds into the same police pipeline. Critics call it warrantless by consent, and they're saying social pressure or the fear of looking uncooperative with the police could push people to hand over their footage without realizing the long-term privacy implications of it. And once that pipeline exists, it tends to expand. This all started rolling out after the announcement in October of this year. And over the next few months, it'll be integrated into Flock platforms nationwide. So if you've got a Ring doorbell camera, or if you live in a Flock covered neighborhood, like a HOA, understand something. Your cameras are no longer just for your house. They are now part of a big, big system.
Yakima spent $123,000 of COVID relief money on cameras that were marketed to only record license plates. Same cameras were at the Central Washington State Fair and were used to search for people. We were told they couldn't do that. So what's going on? At the Central Washington State Fair, I spotted cameras pointing directly into crowds. No cars, no streets, just people. They looked like Flock ALPRs, which are automatic license plate readers. But those are only supposed to capture license plates. The city's own Flock Transparency Portal claims it only detects license plates and vehicles. And it does not detect people, facial recognition, gender, or race. Sounds straightforward, right? Except when I filed a public records request, I found search logs from the fair where officers were actively using the cameras to search for father's dark blue shirt, a blonde girl in leopard print leggings. These aren't vehicle searches, these are people searches, with the exact type of identifiers the cameras supposedly do not detect. When I contacted YPD about the issue, they told me that their understanding is that these cameras can search for articles of clothing, such as backpacks or shirts, and that this was discussed during the briefings on the camera use for the operators. So how did Yakima get these cameras? Well, with COVID relief money. Yes, really. Again. Here's the city's actual justification from the ARPA application. The project consists of deploying up to 40 cameras in an effort to deter crime, which has an effect on public health. And it gets better. Yakima doesn't even own these cameras. We rent them. Here we can see that the city pays $3,000 a year with the installation fee of $150 for each camera. Yakima taxpayers now pay $270,000 every single year in order to keep these 90+ cameras operating. Search logs are supposed to keep the system accountable, but many search reasons are things like sus, investigation, or an unreadable case number. Today, we cheer when these cameras catch a thief or reunite a lost child. But never forget, the party in power changes every few years. And these parties, including state and federal agencies, all have exits. People who control the cameras today might not be the people who control them tomorrow. Imagine, it's 2020 again. Stay-at-home orders are law. You're not allowed to visit family. You're not allowed to gather. They watch you hug your grandmother. They log the color of your jacket when you drop off groceries. They build a timeline of every violation. Suddenly, a hug becomes evidence. A visit becomes a crime. And the same system sold to us as public safety becomes the perfect tool to punish anyone who disobeys. Are you comfortable giving that power to the next administration that you may or may not disagree with? Once the weapon exists, the only question left is who gets to aim it.
Ring cameras, they've officially partnered up with Flock, which is a police surveillance system. If this isn't alarming you, listen up. So here's the tea. They've always had access to the cameras, but now that they're officially partnering up and telling all of their users that they can use our cameras to surveil us, a little sketchy. This also includes facial recognition and scanning our license plates. So if you have one of these, it might be a good idea to disengage it, because you never know who is watching, especially if it's in your house, okay? I had a police officer 2 years ago. He's undercover at my store I worked, and he told me you need to delete your Ring cameras because creepy policemen will watch you undress, etc., etc. If that wasn't terrifying enough, we've now entered a state of surveillance, not just for us, but for other people. What is private, even if it's in our houses? According to Ring, nothing. Because of that, you need to get your own VPN or a server that camera goes through, because whatever the ones Ring, not just Ring camera, but people like Ring, they will sell your data to companies like Flock, who do not have your best interests at heart, so act accordingly.
The free state of Florida, Flock cameras are popping up everywhere, and agencies like the Polk County Sheriff's Department and the Hernando County Sheriff's Department are telling the public these cameras are exempt from public records. These agencies in Florida claim that the public record law allows them to exempt footage from Flock cameras because it could expose vulnerabilities in their surveillance systems. However, in Washington state, a judge just ordered that all footage from Flock cameras is now public records. And coincidentally, after the ruling, the two cities who were a part of this lawsuit turned off their Flock cameras. The reasons for turning off the camera was because it could be used for malicious reasons, say by a crazy ex-husband or something like that. The judge ruled that they were public records because they take in so much information. They're not just looking for criminals, they're getting everybody who's driving, a picture of the driver. They're getting the tag, and if you don't have a tag, well, they'll look for bumper stickers or damage to the vehicle to identify the driver and the car. Some folks will say, what do you need to see a Flock camera footage for if you haven't committed a crime? I guess they haven't heard about what they did out of Denver to that poor lady that wasn't even allowed to look at the footage after they accused her of a crime.
Then Chrisanna Elser was wrongfully accused of stealing a $25 package after police used Flock camera technology to track her car near the scene.
There is zero doubt I wouldn't have come here unless I was 100% sure. So I'm not going to extend you any courtesy of showing you a video when I don't need. But I can show you videos. No, you cannot.
The officer claimed to have both doorbell video and Flock camera evidence linking her to the theft.
Agencies that pay the subscription to Flock camera can now request footage from Ring devices. The two companies are partnering together to make one big giant nanny state. There's also been reports that agencies have had their credentials stolen, and foreign hackers are logging into the Flock cameras and spying on Americans. Despite all these concerns with Flock cameras, agencies in Florida continue to spend our tax money to deploy them across the state. The good news is we don't need hacksaws to take them down. We just need a really good lawyer who's for the people that'll take this to court on our...
So what are y'all's opinion on this? As we can see, this is not just something that's rolling out in one state. It seems like it's pretty much across that America that people are seeing and witnessing these cameras being deployed. How do you feel about this partnership with Ring? It does, in my opinion, seem like a potential overreach of privacy in the name of crime prevention. I think that we need to stay aware of the framing and the messaging that we're going to be hearing from politicians, including the common sense technology, crime prevention, vehicle theft protection, and so forth. And at what part are we willing to sacrifice our privacy for safety? I think it's a fair question, and I think it's a question that many people need to ask themselves. And where do you fall on the line? I see a lot of comments saying that we've always been surveilled through our phones and through our televisions. They've been doing it for years, which, you know, fine, so be it. I understand that mentality, but where do you draw the line? When do you say enough is enough? And what's everybody's line here? For some, as you can see in this video, the line has already been crossed. For others, it may have to get a little bit more of an overreach for them to feel like they want to come out and speak about it. But like the gentleman said in the video before this one, right now you may be on, you know, Team Red or Team Blue, but this is something that it doesn't really matter what party affiliation you're a part of. It doesn't matter, you know, if you're rich or poor, white or black, and so forth. This is a human rights violation of our privacy. And if we don't stand our ground now and tell them that we're not okay with it, then it's going to be harder to roll back policies that are being changed right before our eyes. And if they're not going to give us opportunity to voice our opinion, then we're going to have to take that opportunity for ourselves. So I appreciate every single one of you that has been, again, bringing awareness to the situation and uploading these videos. I think it's really important to get an understanding of the American landscape as it pertains to these cameras that are being installed nationwide. And I look forward to continuing this conversation. I think it's a conversation that's just beginning for the average American citizen. I look forward to seeing you guys on the next one, and go out there and take on the day and stay safe.